The name Cincy come from?
Where does the name Cincy come from?
Oh, the name Cincy. My husband had given me that cozy name, Cincy. And I have remained with that little name, I would say forever, until I am here. And everybody liked it in the family, but my husband, Sandy, he gave that name to me. It sounded...
It stuck, basically.
Stuck, actually, yes. Sort of everybody liked it. It sounded so warm, cozy, friendly.
Better than grandma.
Yeah. And I am a person that I like to...
or great grandma.
Yeah, great grandma. No. That I am a happy person. I am happy for everything. And I thank God everything for my wonderful, wonderful long life. With all the experiences that I have lived through, because I am now 99 and a half years old.
What was it like growing up during World War II?
I was a regular a student in school. First, when I graduated in high school in 1942, and then I had 2 years college, so that was in 44. And my husband-to-be, he was a soldier out on the front in Russia for 2 years. He was like a West Point here. He was a graduate, so he was a professional soldier, a second lieutenant, and he spent 2 years in the Russian front. Then he became injured with his arm, and they sent him back home, and took them a year and a half to rebuild his arm. And then he didn't have to go back to the war again, to the front, but he still was a professional soldier in Hungary when the front was behind the Lake Balaton. And since he has been in Russia on the front for 2 years, and he hoped that I don't have to stay around when the Russians will move into Hungary. So he asked my father if he could marry me. I was 20 years old and he was 25 years old. And my father, very reluctantly, gave his okay, telling him he's doing it. You kids are doing it on your own. So maybe you will regret it later, but if you are making this decision now, I will accept it, but not happily. So we got married in 1944, still in Budapest. And we had a little celebration up in the Burg, in the castle, in the little chapel. And then we left Budapest in 1944, around December 20 or so. And his whole
his regiment.
His regiment was leaving Budapest because the front was coming close. So I went with the families then, and I ended up in Szombathely, which is on the border to Austria, and I lived there until 1945, April. And that's when his regiment, they were all fleeing from that scene and entering into Austria in a refugee life.
All right. The second question we have for you is, what did the soldiers do to you and your family?
Well, hopefully, not hopefully, but thank God I wasn't already in Budapest, but all my family and my relatives, they were all living and going through that condition. The homes were occupied. Soldiers were all over, naturally not friendly, but very sadly behaving. Whatever they could ruin, they did. And they had many families, mostly from, not the middle class, de hogy mondják, many families were evacuated from their homes because the Russian soldiers need to be occupying them. And they have been occupying it for quite a while, some of them for 2-3 years, and the others, they were really forced to leave their homes. So the soldiers would be able to have spaces and take really completely over the country, which they did for about 42 years.
How were you able to escape the invasion?
Because my husband then, who was 5 years older than I was, as I mentioned, I married him in December, November 28, 44. And we left Budapest with his regiment the same year in December. And we nem menekültünk, hogy mondják?
Evacuated.
We were evacuated from Budapest, going to the west by knowing it that the front will come all over Hungary and the Russians will take over. So we went to Western Hungary, closer to the border, and we left Hungary 1940, 44, March or April 1945. Therefore, we became refugees into Austria. And then further on, we were in camping, in camps. I myself, I stayed in a not labeled camp, but military camp for about 5 years, waiting to be immigrating somewhere. And I was very glad and happy to be able to come to this wonderful, beautiful United States. And I am still here, and I thank God that this could happen for us. My family lived all through those years in Hungary. They would have been evacuated by the soldiers. But my father was able to find some families to come and move into our home, into our house, so they wouldn't occupy and take away our house. But my husband's home, parents' home, this was completely confiscated. They had to leave the home. They lived in Esztergom in Hungary, and they had to be evacuated from their home because the Russians took away their home. All right. What else is next?
The next question that we have is, what lesson should our generation learn from this World War II?
Oh, dear Lord, never have war again. Never. Because war doesn't make you happy, doesn't bring you anything better. It's only suffering and painful, not only on those years when it comes, but forever, actually. So we hope that God will save us from any other wars.
Okay.
Okay.